So yeah, so I was going to say, I'm a little bit anxious because this is the first workshop I'm giving. So now you can imagine how stressed I'm feeling with such a start. So I hope we can all hold each other and feel safe still. So, but most of all, I'm really excited to have the opportunity to be visible today. And although the conference didn't have a theme this year, um, I think we can clearly see that there is a theme, that diversity is really on everybody's mind, and we're really trying to put all our energy and effort together to improve, the experience for everyone. So I feel this is really important and needs to be acknowledged. Um, last week I had a chat with another trainee, and we were saying actually just our presence in training is a statement is in itself. It's like just by being here, we're already disturbing the system. So it's almost as if, most of the work is already done. So basically, I could stop here and just leave. But I won't do that. I'm staying. So yeah, there will be some breakout rooms. Obviously, if you don't want to join, please let us know. So maybe put it in the chat or let Nick know if you don't want to share. Yeah, I will give you some room to talk, to say what you would like to share with everyone. But please don't interrupt like randomly, because with the way I work, you might end up with a totally different workshop. So just I warned you. So a bit of contracting to make sure that everybody feels safe. So stay grounded. A very easy way to do that is, and very simple, just make sure you have your feet flat on the ground, and, have the conscience that we are all on the same planet. So we are necessarily interconnected. That's important to me. And that helps keep your adult engaged. So basically, it's about centering in your heart. So feel the pulsation of your body. It's an embodied experience today I'm going to take you through. So an easy way to do that is maybe put your hand on your abdomen or on your heart, and you will feel, like the life force, basically. So to help each other feel safe, well, just take turns, pause, allow for silence, because some of us have a slower process. So, we need maybe a bit of silence to be able to say what we have to say. So this is important. A few questions maybe to have in mind is how you want to feel by the end of the workshop. Like, ask yourself, what am I here for? What's my intention? What do I want to get? And listen. I know that some of the stuff can trigger some of us, but I'm hoping that we can really listen and be responsive rather than reactive. So if you're feeling uncomfortable at any point in the workshop, well, I think I will have achieved my mission, because that's exactly what I'm here for. So if you feel some discomfort, I'm sorry, but I'm happy. Obviously, I don't want to traumatize anyone either. So I hope it's the right balance between the two. If you need to move. You'll see that I need to move. I hope I won't make you too dizzy though. So if you need to move, I'm absolutely okay with that. Stand up, move about in the room. That's not a problem. If you need to shout, breathe. Unless you're on mute, maybe. So who I am. So I'm basically, first of all, I was trained as a teacher, secondary school teacher. In the past few years, I've tried to teach again, and every time it has come to a dramatic consequences. So last time I ended up in a car crash on the motorway. So I thought, maybe that's a sign I should carry on my psychotherapy training instead. So yeah, I'm studying at the Burn Institute, which I really enjoy. Um, I'm in a placement and I'm considering starting private practice sometime in the near future. My privileges, I'm white. I don't have to worry about having enough money to cover my basic needs. I'm married to a heterosexual white man. I went to university, and there's probably many more that I don't think about. And what might lead me to be discriminated against or sometimes feel invisible. I'm queer. I'm an EU citizen living in a post-Brexit UK. I'm neurodivergent and I have a female body. So a lot about me is like one and the other rather than one or the other. So I see it in TA terms as integration. Even my eyes, actually, last time I checked my eyes, we figured out that one is long sighted and the other short sighted. So that's how balanced I am. So making decisions for me is very difficult, like really difficult. Um, like a couple of weeks ago, my husband asked me, well, Isa, do you want a coffee? I just stopped and I was just staring in the air and said, was losing patience. And he said, it's not a trap. Isa, it's okay. No one dies. That's how dramatic it can get. So yeah, it's a process that's has some consequences for everyday life, obviously. So what I would like you to walk away with from the workshop is having reflected on the impact of unconscious bias in training. I put "on" between brackets because sometimes it's not that unconscious, is it? It's sometimes subconscious, sometimes it's conscious, and sometimes I would even say it's willful ignorance, and that's why it becomes a real problem. So, yeah, having the courage to look at this. So yeah, today, like feeling having the will to experience discomfort, I think is very important. And so I'm really thankful that you're here today to share that experience. I think with everything that we know now with neuroscience, all the developments, we know, the interaction between our emotions, the brain, what we say, the cognitive side of things, the embodied side of things. So in training, I think is the really good place to sit with the discomfort and feel, when you feel fear, when you feel anger, just stop, breathe, and think, what is this about? It's saying something. Like if you look around, obviously you're not under attack or anything. So that's really where we have time to ask ourselves questions, check out things with each other, check out with a trainer as well. Yeah, and also a desire to actively challenge bias and update knowledge, because often bias can be fought by acquiring more knowledge. Very simple. Owning the ecological essence of TA. So Haley, in our keynote earlier on, talked a lot about this, the fact that we're all interconnected, we're a whole ecosystem. So whatever we do as a human being is going to impact the whole ecosystem, the whole living world. So I think it's important to bear that in mind and really integrate that into TA. So the conscience that whatever we do impacts others, whatever others do impacts us, and that's true for the planet, for every living thing on Earth. And the courage to use power diligently. So that's more focused on trainers, but also trainees who have more experience. So it's about a shared responsibility, I'd say. So maybe see difference as an enriching encounter, not as a loss of power or a threat to our identity, and certainly not as an excuse to treat others like as inferior or dysfunctional, which sometimes we see in the psychotherapy world. So I'm going to send you in breakout rooms for about 5 minutes, if it's possible, Nick. So just introduce yourself briefly, and think about one time when you felt invisible or silenced in TA training. Roughly say what the situation was and how you felt. So focus mainly on your bodily experience, what you felt in your body, and maybe share a few thoughts about what was going on for you at that time. So yeah, when we recoup, we can share a little bit. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the experience. If you have like 3 words maybe to put in the chat to share, or if one or two of you want to unmute and say, not the content, just stay safe, but just what bodily sensations were evoked in your conversations, or maybe some thoughts.
Hi, Isabelle. I think for me, having it triggered something in my script to feel like I was telling on somebody, like the responsibility was with me to hold that being silenced rather than the responsibility
Right.
being on the silencer.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're holding the whole responsibility of the situation.
It felt
It's like the reverse responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I can't see
some
the
comments, Isabelle. I, as reflection, my bias to be the same and be straight for that. A sense of being crushed to be told I did not know enough TA.
Yeah. Yeah, crushed. That's a powerful word. Okay, so we'll move on from there. So I'll say a little bit more about what pushed me to do this workshop, to offer it. So I've been thinking about it for 2 or even 3 years, I'd say. But I think this year is when I was really ready to give it, and to have enough distance to look after myself, basically, and send a positive and a potent message, rather than maybe getting lost in translation. So I will talk a little bit about my experience in training and in therapy in general. The question, is it okay to be me and train as a psychotherapist? A reflection on what it means to be human in general, and the relation of it to TA. A reflection on eco TA as well, and the experience of trainees. So my experience in TA, it started obviously like everyone with the TA 101. I would say like everyone, probably some people might read books or whatever, but for me it was a TA 101. And I thought, to be honest, I was really dismissive. I thought, this is a bit simplistic. I wasn't sure. I was very critical of it. I signed up anyway. And then when I started really studying in my first year, it was like a revelation. I thought, oh my God, this is what I've been looking for all my life. A wonderful philosophy, I'm okay, you're okay, the divine nature of our being. We don't need to do anything. Everything is well. I just loved it. And then I felt that sometimes there was a disconnection between what we preach and what we do sometimes. So as time went on, I thought, how can I help bring TA back to its roots? So physis, taking into account intuition, the I'm okay, you're okay philosophy. So being unique and belonging, this paradox that's always ongoing everywhere. But how can we reconcile these concepts and make them not be just concepts, but be actually real and lived every day. So yeah, well, my question is, how do we go back to the roots of TA? Basically, it's a big part of the reflection. So my early training in TA again showed that split between. That was a part of my training where I felt empowered, really successful. I was blooming, expanding. I felt loved. I made lots of wonderful friendships. I made positive changes in my life. So that was Pisces, like an explosion of energy. And then at some point, I did show my difference. And I thought I was safe to do so because I really adhere to the philosophy, I'm okay, you're okay. But all of a sudden, I felt really, I'm okay, you're not okay. I didn't feel okay anymore. So, I was being spontaneous, aware, and I faced all of a sudden betrayal, rejection, abandonment, uh, silence, facing my questions from my tutors. I was publicly humiliated. Clearly, I was a very difficult experience, and unfortunately, it drove me really close to suicide. So that was a big wake up call where, when I saw the consequences on an emotional, psychological, a financial level, the brutally ruthless experience, I thought, so do I still adhere to TA? What does TA stand for in reality? Is it just a dream? Is it just a fantasy? Is it a huge aim? So yeah, that was very important for me in my experience. So luckily, then I went to a different institution, and I saw that, yes, we can actually live TA in everything we do. I felt my energy was embraced. I could be myself, just express my creativity. I could be intimate and people would not feel threatened. So there is room, for all the TA philosophy to be lived and to be shared in a really positive way. So the question is, how do we ensure that it's consistently the case? It's something I've experienced as well in therapy sometimes, very adverse experience where I felt the limits. So everything, around this question of what do we do, I think it revolves a lot around training, obviously. Where does the philosophy, where is it modeled? It's modeled by trainers. So I think that's very important thing to focus on, and what is our role in terms of being a trainee? What's our agency? We have a voice as well. So yeah, just yeah, I think I said enough about that. I'm okay, you're okay. How do we keep that in mind? The situation with the pandemic, the global situation during the pandemic as well, when the mediatization of the killing of George Floyd. I think this week is really symbolic of there's an awakening in the world at the moment. It's like a call for more social justice. What are we doing with our planet? What are we doing with each other? So how do we take care of each other? And I think we need more action. So how do we put that into action in our everyday work with our clients, in our training, everywhere? Feels like I had this image of, it's like all the cogs are up in the air at the moment, and we can, rearrange the machine so that it works better. So yeah, how do we do that all together? Okay, Cotier. So I won't say a lot more about Cotier than Hayley said this morning. I think, yeah, it's our interconnection. I'm not very keen on diagrams, but I made one just for you. So these little people, you know, I think us as a practitioner, our role is to be always grounded, make sure that we're solid and robust, so that it's not our energy that we share with our clients. I think we are a tool to help them connect to the wider energy and you know, everything that is basically, and that reconnects them to themselves when we do that. So it's, and the only way we can do that is with an open heart. So what it means to me is that as well as being potent, we also need to be selfless. So there's a paradox again. There's always, you know, so many paradoxes, but one thing can be always the other. And by being potent, we're actually allowing the other to feel their potency, to get in touch with their own strength, with everything that is, with everybody else on the planet. So yeah, it's like yeah, getting in touch with the ecosystem is getting in touch with ourselves. So how do we facilitate that? And I think sometimes we need to think about the definitions. As a trainee, sometimes I felt a bit lost when we say, I'm okay, you're okay. There's no real definition that we all agree on. And I think that would be an important task to do. Empathy. How do we show empathy? What does empathy mean? Is there a way to show empathy, or is there an infinite number of ways to show empathy? When we say look after yourself, you know, without any definition of what it is. I mean, as a trainee in the very beginning of my training, people would say, look after yourself. I didn't have a clue what it is to look after myself. You know, I was just starting to learn. And I think looking back, I don't think that's enough, you know, and we need to look after each other better than that. Boundaries. What are boundaries? What are boundaries in training? What are boundaries? We talk a lot about boundaries in therapy, but I think in training, that's where everything is modeled. So we need to talk about boundaries a lot more, I feel. Yeah, so generally, it's a question about where is our responsibility? So what do we agree on? What's our responsibility? What's our level of resource as well? So obviously we all have different levels of resources. Some of us have more, some of others have less. So it's like sometimes I feel so I've put some pictures on the screen, you know, it's like you've got two cars. Imagine they want to meet halfway and you say, oh, let's meet halfway. But one has quarter of the tank full and the other 3/4 of the tank. That's not going to work, is it? So, you know, it's important to bear in mind that at any moment in time, we all have different levels of resources and of robustness. So whoever has more resources, I mean, has to go a little bit further on the journey, you know, to meet the other. It's not, we can't say it's always halfway. So for me, that's what integration, relational needs mean. And maybe I would like it to be given more attention. So trainees experience. So I've started doing research, which I'm not going to develop today, with some trainees who have felt silence, who have felt the microaggressions in their training, and where sometimes it's left unaddressed, sometimes it's dealt very well with, and we can see that there's progress, there's integration, there's growth coming from it, but sometimes it leads people to feeling really exhausted, discouraged, and I think that every time we lose a trainee because they feel discriminated against or invisible or they face the same microaggressions that they face in society, in our psychotherapy training or TA training in general, organizations or education as well. Well, it's a loss for the whole community. It's not just for them, we lose out as well. So how do we make sure that people feel included? Right. So I'm going to give you a little experience of, being in your body and feeling the difference. So I'm suggesting you can either close your eyes. It's a story I'm going to tell you. It's a story I wrote for the workshop. So either you can close your eyes, you can keep your eyes open. So do what's best for you. And focus on what's happening in your body, what the shifts are, what you feel at the beginning, in the middle, at the end, what urges do you feel, or things like that. If you want to grab a pencil or coloring pencils and draw, or whatever you want to do, feel free to do what's right for you. So imagine that you listen to the radio. There hasn't been a really good tune for a while. In fact, there are a few songs that keep being played all the time so that they make it to the top of the charts. And you've caught yourself humming them from time to time. You hated those tunes when you first heard them. The pitch provoked all sorts of unpleasant reactions in your body. The intonation felt uneasy. The lyrics did not make any sense to you. After hearing those songs repeatedly day in, day out, for lack of better tunes, you started humming them. At least it was some music rather than total silence. Even though these songs do not correspond to you in the least, you have started singing them louder and louder. And at the same time, you know on some level that they do not correspond to your taste, to what makes your ears happy and your body want to move. So you carry on singing, but start making silly, discordant voices, dancing in a broken and unaesthetic way. All the while, you have forgotten what your actual tastes in music are. You satisfy yourself with those out-of-tune hits and sing them along with those close to you in a disharmonious and forced togetherness. Even when you forget the words, your body keeps the score. You end up feeling confused, with a sense of belonging all due to the forsaken you, where your true self is hidden. Your mind has become dull. You look aloof, and your body is rigid and tortured. You've lost contact with yourself. Sometimes you zone out to stop hearing those tunes. Other times you scream at those who sing those tunes. And they are surprised at seeing you withdraw. They frown when you shout, and you feel ashamed to have dared rebel, to have tried to mute those tunes. You don't even understand why you are so angry. You give up. You understand that there is something wrong with you, and like a machine, like a ghost, you carry on to avoid re-experiencing that shame. Now, imagine that one day you meet someone new, and that person has a special gift for you, the gift of life. They play a tune to you, and that tune makes all your body shiver for pleasure. You have goosebumps when you listen to this tune. Your skin is awakened. The lyrics, the voice of the singer, the music, the rhythm, everything touches you. Your soul awakens. Your body starts to move harmoniously. Your eyes light up, and you start humming the lyrics as if you had written them yourself. All of a sudden, the air rushes to your lungs. Your blood flows like a strong current. It's like you are being reborn. You get in touch with yourself again, with the life force that unites all of us. As you sing along that song, everything in you that was broken starts to repair. And you meet more and more people who appreciate that song and sing it along with you, so that you don't forget what makes you feel alive, what feels right for you, and makes you feel you belong with all that you are and makes you tick. But what if you have heard the work songs for so long that when you hear your tune, you don't even notice it? It is too good to be true, too painful because it makes you feel the hurt of the thousand times when the out of tune rumbles and shrieks of the rubbish songs drown your beautiful life-giving song. That is when we need someone patient enough, knowledgeable enough, and open enough to bring us back in the harmonious zone. Someone who, even if they don't know the music, even if they don't know the music you like or even like it, someone who will use their whole mind, body, and soul to connect to the life force for you and open their heart to you so that you can connect yourself. They're the Wi-Fi, and you're the one who connects to the available music, the infinite source of beauty, harmony, and flow. Your capacity for connecting has now become endless and remains always available. You know it is there, always. And all you have to do is have the intention to connect, just like your patient helper came with that same conscious and assured intention. The rest comes naturally, every time. When your heart is closed, no music can come in. When you are afraid, no love can come in. Now you sing that life-giving song all the time and look for other ones that resonate with you. When you hear those old rubbish songs again, they don't make so much noise in your head. You're able to dim them or switch off the radio when it gets too much. You learn that silence is better than the songs that attack your vitality, and you know who to listen to when you need to hear the life-giving tune again. Most importantly, you now know that you can sing that song to yourself whenever you need to, and you can make new ones with your own tunes and your own lyrics. And there is more to this new energy yet, an unexpected treasure. As you get used to feeling the new beautiful energy flowing, rushing through you, you start noticing others around you opening up, waking up from their own sleep too, coming out from their hiding places, unfolding and stretching, looking up to see the sun, smiling at people and the space around them, smelling and tasting the fresh air. You start experiencing the fantastic power conferred by simply being you, the power of connecting others to themselves and to the life force available to all of us. By accepting that gift of being you, you automatically pass on that gift and create such a strong current that it ripples far and wide, dissolving deposits of negative energy on its way. So I'm going to ask you to stay with what you're feeling right now and go into breakout rooms for about 10 minutes. Nick, if you can arrange that. And share a bit about what your experience was like, what makes you think, what resonates with you personally or on a professional level, whatever your role is in TA. And yeah, share the energy. Hello everyone, welcome back. So what was it like? Does one or two of you want to unmute, say something about what came out? Make sure if you mention something that was said that you have the permission of whoever said what. or if you want to put in the chat something.
So somebody said needed more time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's always a problem in breakout rooms. We always want more time. So yeah, I'll move on from that then. Yeah, so the idea was a bit giving an embodied experience of what it's like to be redefined almost as a person by our environment, by whatever happens in our life. So think about, transgenerational trauma, how we're just trapped in that, and how it is easy to reinforce that on a daily basis in life and in training as well.
I think that's maybe why I'm struggling to give feedback, because it was hard to articulate verbally.
Mm.
It was a more
well, yeah, exactly.
experience.
Mm. Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm. Can you hear me, anyone?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, feedback from me is that I've got really bad hay fever today, and what I was noticing is I was starting to rotate a bit and get a bit irritated, and then feel a bit guilty, and so I drifted in and out, responding to my need. I have to take care of myself, and then coming back, and then that song that you started to talk about, the one that everyone might be singing, but it's not our taste in music. Kylie Minogue's song, that La 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 song came to mind, which really caused me to get more irritated. And as I remembered it, the feeling in my body was quite a strong feeling. And then coming back and then feeling my hay fever. So it was like a lot of sensing you, Isabelle, and what you wanted me to do, sensing some of the stuff you're asking me to do is not what I'm wanting, and then sensing my own body and coming back to just paying attention to myself and just feeling a little bit sort of, your voice was in the background, and then coming back and thinking, what did Isabelle just say? I've lost track of what you just said. Have I lost have I missed something, and am I supposed to be doing something? So a whole load of stuff going on backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards, as I was noticing myself being different to you, what you're wanting me to do, what I'm not wanting to do, and my physical state, and the sun is shining out there as well. So I feel a little bit, this is my second day of training, all day yesterday and today, so I feel a little bit deprived about being in my room or being out there. So that was there's a lot of information, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah.
Minutes between one and another.
Yeah. Yeah, the
I'll share a
uniqueness
little
of
bit.
your experience and being among the group as well. Yeah. And the pull to go outside and enjoy the sun. Yeah. Sorry, Nick. Yeah.
Yeah, I just stuff I'd already shared with you, because you and I effectively had our breakout room. It really resonated with me about the experience of people brought up in the States who are people of colour. Linda and I were talking last night, Linda's my wife, about James Brown and his background, because I love that sort of music, and just how much, if you brought up in a society which constantly tells you you're not good enough, and that song just permeates everything, and even your music gets stolen, even stuff you do create, and it almost gets taken over. So sort of rock and roll and Elvis and all great stuff, but actually that came from black soul music, and so yeah, really resonated with me for that.
It's reminding me about the power of the trainer or the teacher. I mean, a lot of people will say that something that a teacher told them when they were little, young child, has stayed forever, like you can't sing, you know, as if that's defined you, because a powerful figure such as a teacher when you were small said that. And I'm thinking about, you know, you were giving a picture there, Isabella, of being trapped where you have to listen to the rubbish music, because I would say, well, I would switch it off, you know. But supposing you're in you've paid up front for a year of training, you're committed to it financially, and then it's not what you expected, and you feel trapped. And I'm in touch with that as someone who has been a trainer, that you are in a powerful position. And that's why, actually, in terms of the questions that are put to someone who would be a trainer, it's about the ethics of training. It's about all these important values that you're expected to live by in terms of respect, of your care, your sensitivity, and it's unethical if that is not given, if that's not the experience for the trainee. It is unethical.
I think you're bang on there, Alistair. I think you're bang on the money there. And certainly my experience as a trainee, there's been times where I felt very frustrated, and like conversations about diversity have been either shut down or just not acknowledged or understood. And I think you're right. I think trainers have a big responsibility and an ethical responsibility to do that. And it is hard if, as a trainee, like you say, you've paid your fees for a year, and then there's big holes in that kind of wider sense of diversity and acknowledging difference.
Yeah,
thank you for saying that, Linda and Alistair. I really appreciate you bringing up the role of the trainer. And I guess sort of I'm new to the training. I'm currently in year 1, and I would say it's a very interesting time to start training, right? Especially because diversity is so at the forefront of our thinking, and we're starting to have those conversations. But maybe for someone who has lived experience of the underprivileged side of things, it can become very uncomfortable when it is obvious that the trainer themselves hasn't engaged with the topic to a level where they can actually facilitate the conversation in a healthy way. And here I'm even thinking just about like holding the space in a safe way. Like I just experienced that these conversations, they escalate, and they escalate to the disadvantage of the ones who are already affected by this on an everyday basis. And I've seen that happening around many topics, like many intersections. And that sort of the person who has lived experience then again experience the sense of outsiderness and being talked about, but being present in the room. And I think that's a really slippery slope. It can be very painful as a trainee to suddenly become a subject. And it's almost dehumanizing, and that is something I experienced several times. And I do think that it comes back to the responsibility of the trainer to stop that, or to notice that this is happening, and to then sort of bring it back.
Yeah, I think, Jasmine, thank you very much for sharing. You've just said something that's extremely important. Yeah, it's about taking responsibility and being responsive rather than reactive, so that the conversation can still happen, holding everything that you said, I think, is beautiful. Yeah.
I think
It would be
part of
good to
that,
be able to see everyone during the discussion. Can you end screen sharing?
if you put up, you can put up to gallery view, Alistair. I can see everybody.
I've done that, yeah.
There's side-by-side gallery and there's side-by-side speaker, and you need it on side-by-side.
I've still got the screen sharing.
Oh, that's weird, because I can see both.
Hmm?
I can see both. I can see everybody and the screen. It might depend on what device.
I can only see six people.
Yeah, Isabelle might need to stop the screen share then for a minute.
Okay.
There's a bar, so where
is that better?
Where we all are on the side, there's a bar, and you can drag that bar over and move it back just for future.
I can see everyone now, thanks.
Yeah, I've stopped sharing.
Jasmine, the other thing that came up for me when you were talking is, in terms of responsibilities, that it's also about, whether it's trainers or us as trainees, educating ourselves, because it's not the role of somebody who's marginalized or not in a privileged position to educate others about their experience. Yeah. It's our responsibility as individuals to educate ourselves. And you know, I'm white, and so in that way I'm privileged, but I have other disadvantages by virtue of disability, and it can feel exhausting constantly educating other people about what they're missing, what they're not seeing, what they're discounting. And you know, and yet in many other ways I'm privileged, so I can only imagine what that's like for you know, for a person of color who has that probably every day in different ways.
You used the important expression, you know, practicing what we preach. And when you think about a number of TA concepts, not only about okayness, but about discounting or accounting, for example, about allowing for different frames of reference. There are so many ways that we should be bringing that into like the training environment, you know, this is what it means to practice it. It's also about, for example, even the simple matter of how we exchange strokes with one another.
Yeah.
For me, it was really about the felt experience. And as you say, Alistair, about the okayness, and it's like pathologizing the client and you know, that's not the role of the training. It's like, you know, let that person be natural and just let them blossom, and they don't have to say this is, oh, I have this issue or that issue, because we all have something, we're all different. Mm-hmm. But we are so similar on a humanistic level.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about connecting with those common themes rather than getting away because of those differences.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, thank you, Isabelle. Yeah, really thought-provoking.
Yeah, I'm not sure about what to do, because as we missed a bit of time at the beginning, so I think I'm gonna have to cut short some of it. Yeah, I was going to do another breakout, but I think we'll stay all together and just yeah, I give you some situations of lived experience in training, and maybe we can just choose one situation, or you can just unmute and say what your reaction is. So I will start sharing again. With the right screen, preferably. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. So I'm talking about ADHD because that's something that I have a lived experience of. But I think a lot of, you know, what we've been talking about, what your comments have shown just right now is what Divya, you said, when everybody is different, and what makes a person should just be embraced, you know, and that would prevent a lot of brutality. You know, when you think about people who are detained because they are called psychotic, when it's just, you know, intense emotional distress, stuff like that. So it's just an example that I'm just owning, but can be transposed, I think. So it's just a few signs for if you're not very similar with what ADHD is. So a lot of things are actually everybody can say, oh yeah, I experienced that. I think mainly is that it's the intensity of what goes on, so which becomes a bit disabling at times, or very disabling. So obviously, when we think about training, I think things like deep shame. Obviously, we don't want to reinforce shame in training, but it does happen. You know, disorganization. We need to write essays. We need to talk in groups. The way where we experience emotions, you know, so especially with classical TA, where sometimes there's a feeling, for me at least, that you can simply wish things away instead of thinking of development and how much of a journey it is to reach, you know, a state of being really functional in everyday life, especially if you want to do that without medication, for example. So it requires a whole new lifestyle, so which might involve, for example, meditation. That's something I've experienced. You know, looking after our basic needs in a very disciplined way. So it involves a lot of adaptation. Just watching the time. So situation one asked why they are not participating more in the group. A trainee says, I can't interrupt other people and I'm slow to process what I want to say. So by the time I am ready to speak, the conversation has moved on and someone else is talking, and so on and so forth. And the tutor says, well, but speak, you're paying for this. Another one, a trainee developed a neurotic transference for a tutor in their second year of training and felt safe enough to disclose it to them to receive guidance about what to do with it. And nothing was done at the time. However, the tutor's presence in class changed. They looked absent. In their interactions with the trainee, they acted in ways unknown for them, such as missing the trainee's turn in the group when calling names one by one, raising their eyes to the sky when the trainee entered the room, watching the clock while in a conversation with them. And at the end of the year, they were asked to take a year out because they had disclosed their transference for the tutor, and it was questioning how safe they were for clients. Situation 3, in a training group, the tutor links religion and autonomy, derisively repeating, I don't need a long bearded man in sandals and in a frock who lived 2,000 years ago telling me what to do. Several trainees find the comments offensive and nobody says anything to the tutor. However, one trainee later relates the incident to the main tutor, explaining how the comments were offensive and shaming. The tutor remains silent. In therapy, this one, situation 4, a therapist who is also a trainer decided to end therapy with their trainee client after 8 months of working together. The client disagreed with their conclusion that they needed to end. Following the conversation, they had suicidal thoughts and felt at risk, which they shared with the therapist/trainer and insisted that this was dangerous. They dismissed the trainee's concerns and ended anyway. So my questions were, what issues are present that you can think of? What could the response be to take diversity into account and champion it? And how might the tutors and other trainees' response affect how the future therapist works with clients? If you want to share, choose whatever what takes your attention in particular.